Winner of the Emmy Award for Outstanding Achievement in Production of Special Events, NBC proudly welcomes you back to the Macy's 54th Annual Thanksgiving Day Parade, brought to you live from New York City. Your host for today's parade, Ed McMahon, with co-host Bryant Gumbel, and an array of stars including Melba Moore, Linda Ronstadt, Rex Smith, Captain and Tennille, Sister Sledge, The Spinners, Chita Rivera, George Rose, Stephanie Mills. Highlights from the Broadway productions of Brigadoon, Pirates of Penzance, A Day in Hollywood, A Night in the Ukraine, Canine Star Boomer, The Lone Ranger and Tonto, Popeye and Olive Oil, the Radio City Music Hall Rockettes, the first all-children's theater, the Steinettes, Tony Award winner Priscilla Lopez, the Ballet Isleño of Puerto Rico, from Little House on the Prairie, Dean Butler, Franz Jolie, Maynard Ferguson, Lacey J Dolphin, your favorite characters from Sesame Street, from Days of Our Lives, Paul Keenan, Danielle Brisebois, plus marching bands, clowns, floats, and giant balloons, and much, much more, including the one and only Santa Claus.
Here's the band that's been given the honor of formally leading off the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade this morning. Was also selected to perform at the start of our first hour of coverage, and they did play up a storm. From Blue Springs, Missouri, here, 212 strong and having the time of their lives, is the Blue Springs High School Marching Band, under the direction of Douglas Watts. Listen. comes surely the happiest turkey you're likely to see this kitchen busy Thanksgiving morning. A classic symbol of Thanksgiving's past and present, when families everywhere come together and share this holiday. And speaking of families, what a treat we've got for you now. There are three sisters riding that float who are members of one of the most dynamic and popular new musical groups ever to break the charts. Who else but the Sister Sledge? And what number could be more perfect for the spirit of this day than We Are Family?
We are family. I got all my sisters with me. We are family. Get up, everybody, sing. Everyone can see we're together as we walk on by, and we fly just like birds of a feather. I won't tell no lie. All of the people around us, they say, can they be that close? Just let me say for the record, we're giving love in a family dose. We are family. I got all my sisters with me. We are family. Get up, everybody, sing. Living life is fun, and we've just begun to get our share of this world's delight. High hopes we have for the future, and our goals in sight. We know we don't get depressed. Here's what we call our golden rule. Have faith in you and the things you do. You won't go wrong. Oh no, this is our family jewel. We are family.
There is Mickey Mouse, all 57 feet of him. When I see him, I know the parade is well underway. The honor of being first. He's the one we want to see, old Mickey Mouse.
K-E-Y-M-I-C, K-E-Y-M-O-U-S-E, Mickey Mouse, Mickey Mouse. Forever let us hold our banner high, 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 high. No one is a stranger here, you're welcome as can be. M-I-C, K-E-Y-M-O-U-S-E, M-I-C, K-E-Y.
M-O-U-S-E.
And look yonder, what's doing on one of the happiest Thanksgiving castles ever. Methinks I can spot both Sir Mickey Mouse and Sir Goofy. And they're on the throat of the Aristocats from Walt Disney's movie of that name. Reissued for the Christmas holidays, a bunch of happy cats. Listen to this. The band, each of its members is a top musician selected from high school bands in every part of America. We'll be talking only about the McDonald's All-Star All-American High School Band. This year, in addition to the two members chosen for each of the 50 states and the District of Columbia, the band has added a member from the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. They are led by their outstanding musical director, Dr. William Foster.
We pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network.
WNBC TV, New York.
There's so much more to come. Broadway's Brigadoon, the world of Popeye, the Spinners, and a brand new Superman balloon. So don't miss a minute.
Well, here are two gentlemen who would certainly be part of any Thanksgiving celebration. First is George Washington, and then there's his friend, Ben Franklin. Now, would you believe Ben Franklin wanted to make the national bird the turkey? Can you imagine what we do in Thanksgiving? How could you eat the national bird? Did you ever try stuffing an eagle? In a parade filled with fun and laughter, here's somebody that we need to see, Mr. Chuck. And then, of course, there's Cootie, furnished by the Chapper Company. Look at that smile on him. He just doesn't stop. But then again, neither do those legs. He's a cutie, Cootie. And look who's riding that happy snail. It's the Pied Piper of Cookiedom, famous Amos. By the way, famous Amos just gave both the shirts off his back, as well as his famous hat, to the Smithsonian Institute. Fortunately, he managed to save one outfit so we wouldn't miss the parade. On Shades of Melted Butter, what have we here? None other than a Decapitan crustacean of the Hamelihomoris. We like to call him something different. We call him a rocking lobster. And now, in a blending of music, bagpipes, dancing, here comes the famous Riverview High School Kilty Marching Band, dressed in authentic Scottish kilts, imported directly from Edinburgh. They're very talented young people, and they pay tribute to the early history of Sarasota, Florida, and the Scottish immigrants who first settled in that beautiful city. Let's enjoy their performance now under the direction of Andrew J. Crew. Very nice. And now, with the dancing, here comes a delightful piece of Scotch whimsy, furnished by Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, Virginia. It's the Loch Ness Monster, complete with Scottish castle and a naughty neighbor named Nessie. Of course, there's some who doubt that Nessie even exists, but then there are other spoiled sports who believe that Brigadoon was only a figment of imagination. But here in New York, we know differently because Brigadoon has come back to life on Broadway, bigger and better than ever. Here from the great Lerner and Loewe Music Review is Martin Vidnovic and Meg Bessart singing the enchanting Almost Like Being in Love.
Not a word did we say. It was almost like being in love. But your arms linked in mine made the world kind of fine. It was almost like being in love. All the music of life seems to be like a bell that is ringing for me. And from the way that I feel when that bell starts to peal, I would swear I was falling. I could swear I was falling. It's almost like
Oh, there goes the Loch Ness float pulled by those great champion Clydesdales, furnished by Anheuser-Busch. I know those folks.
More floats, more clowns, more marching bands, plus, from the island of Jamaica, the National Dance Theater Company, right after this message.
And now from Jamaica, the National Dance Theater Company.
lost your children to the sea, taken from the land many years ago. The
Just beautiful. That was The Crossing, choreographed by Rex Nettlefoot for the National Dance Theater Company of Jamaica. Really special. And now here comes someone else who's looking particularly happy this year. But then reaching 21 is a pretty big day for anyone. And today, Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade marks the 21st appearance of the world's most famous and popular dragon. It's the Happy Dragon, all 75 feet of good humor and spirit. Having now reached the ripe old age of 21, I suppose he's now free to go out alone in the evening and date whoever he chooses. So if you have an eligible dragon sitting around your house just moping, we might just be able to fix them up together in years to come. Who knows how many dragons we might have in the parade.
A balloon named Linus, the Popeye float, the first all-children's theater, and Captain and Tennille, all coming up on NBC's Thanksgiving coverage of the biggest parade of the year.
Now, here is one of the most enduring and beloved comic strip characters anyone ever laughed at. He's coming on the screen in Popeye, a major new musical motion picture. And with us right now in Herald Square is a live tribute to the Sailor Man. This marvelous float is furnished by Paramount Pictures and represents Popeye's house in the magic town of Sweet Haven. Aboard are a whole group of memorable Popeye characters, including the Steinettes, who are in the film and are singing the Sweet Haven anthem. And all good Popeyites should stand up. For Popeye. Hey, if you think kings and queens and royalty are a thing of the past, hold on a minute. This parade is the home of one of my all-time favorite kings, Linus the Lionhearted, king of the beasts. Why, just take a look at His Majesty. That posture, the royal mane, and that expression on his face. It combines the wisdom of Solomon and the collective appetites of the Los Angeles Rams. Can you imagine if you had to fill him with chopped steak instead of helium, it would take about 9,000 cubic feet of hamburger to do the job. That would fill a king-size shopping bag. Happy Thanksgiving, Linus. We certainly wouldn't want to overlook the rocking kangaroo. He has pouch and will travel. Now here's a surprise. NBC's own Kelly Lang, who's got herself a ride aboard a showboat. Hiya, Kelly.
How are you, Ed? I've got to tell you, I am living one of my all-time fantasies. I've covered the Rose Parade in Pasadena for 7 years, and still being that close, I have never had the thrill of riding on a float. This is it, and I thank you, New York City. I'm going to give you an idea, as you sit in your living room at home, of what it's like to experience riding down Broadway in the middle of Manhattan on Thanksgiving morning. All aboard. Let's go now. Here we go. Hang on tight. We're going to take a look at what we've got on the street here. Now we can see Chita Rivera, who is our wonderful star, and she's warming up a number for you she's going to do later. Meanwhile, she's waving to all the crowd. We're seeing the folks lined up on the right-hand side of Broadway giving a wave. Now let's look over to the left-hand side and see the crowd over there. Everybody out this Thanksgiving morning having a wonderful time. The Flintstones are on board. We've got Fred Flintstone and Bonnie on board this magnificent traditional showboat float. We're going to take a look at the New York skyline, and I'll tell you, if you're an out-of-towner like me, you can't resist looking up at the tall buildings. And there's the most legendary building of all of them, the Empire State Building. Enjoy the ride. Happy Thanksgiving.
Chita Rivera sings and dances, the Lone Ranger rides, and Snoopy flies. All this and more coming up.
Now, who could ever forget the excitement she brought to such landmark musicals as West Side Story, Bye Bye Birdie, Sweet Charity, and Chicago? As the New York Daily News once described her, if Con Edison could only harness her, we'd have no more blackouts. Well, right now, she's about to light up our Broadway. Ladies and gentlemen, here is that lovely and talented Miss Chita Rivera.
To rock and roll a night. The backbeat's much too heavy for what's wrong. Oh, there ain't nobody's blues I've heard that fits my mood just right. There's nothing in this record rack of songs. Oh, but sometimes I feel like moving my feet, and then sometimes I feel like tapping my toes. Sometimes I'm just in need of a beat. Sometimes I've just got to let go. Won't you play me an old-fashioned strut? I'm just an old-fashioned nut. Please play me an old-fashioned strut. Get me out of this old-fashioned rut. Oh, play me an old-fashioned strut. Get me out of this old-fashioned rut. Please play me an old-fashioned strut. The kind of Jimmy don't grant me was strut. I just don't seem to bring myself to rock and roll a night. The backbeat's much too heavy for what's wrong. There ain't nobody's blues I've heard that fits my mood just right. There's nothing in this record good fresh cut saw. Ah, but sometimes I feel like moving my feet. And let some sand and do that dance. Oh, yeah. And sometimes, oh, yeah. I feel like moving my feet. And then sometimes I've just got to let go. Old-fashioned slut. Old-fashioned what? Old-fashioned what? Old-fashioned what? Old-fashioned what? Old-fashioned what? Old-fashioned slut. The kind of Jimmy Joe Red he was got. I'm blaming old-fashioned slut. I'm just an old-fashioned nut. He's blaming an old-fashioned slut. Get me out of this old-fashioned nut. I'm blaming it old. Get me out of this old-fashioned nut. He's blaming it old. Kind of Jimmy Joe Red he was got. I'm blaming.
Oh, boy. Woo! Chita Rivera. Can't do it any better than that. Okay, what do the Orange Bowl, the Rose Bowl, Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade all have in common? Well, if you ask the people in Illinois, it'd be the stellar performance of one of America's finest high school bands, the Glenbrook South High School Marching Band. With invitations to so many premier events, you know they got to be special. And here they are, the Glenview, Illinois Band under the direction of Peter M. Pappas.
Still to come, Lacey J Dolphin, the Rockettes, the Spinners, and Boomer. All for you, all here on NBC.
So this is how it looks up here at Gerald Square. No wonder you're nice and warm. It's wonderful.
We are looking at the moment at a Doodlebug, but I'm glad you came down to join me, Brian, because I understand you have something special to announce.
Indeed, something special. You know, last year's parade was just great, and for it, we received an Emmy. Our producer-director, Dick Schneider, felt that among the thousands of people at NBC and Macy's responsible for the award, you certainly played a major part, and so he wanted you to have...
I have my Emmy? Oh, is that nice? Thank you, Brian. Now, wait a minute. Don't go away. Guess what? It so happens I also have an Emmy
with a
for
ribbon,
you.
no less.
With a ribbon.
Yours is better.
Congratulations.
Happy Thanksgiving, my friend.
Happy Thanksgiving to you, pal. Nice
it's a
to
wonderful
see it.
setup you have
It's
here.
sensational, yes. We do the best we can with the facility.
I'm aware. No wonder you flew in at 4 in the morning.
Now, let me tell you something. Where there's smoke, there's sure to be fire. And where there's fire, hopefully there's also firefighters. Like this outstanding member of the New Milford Volunteer Fire Company number 2. They've been here ever since 1968. Been coming from New Jersey to appear in this wonderful parade. And with them comes no other than America's most famous and beloved firefighter, the Honey Man. Guess who that is? You know, Smokey the Bear. Smokey the Bear, all 5 stories high. And he carries with him a shovel that's 40 feet long. His Thanksgiving message is once again to send his love to everyone watching and really to remind us all to make this the safest and happiest of holidays and prevent forest fires all year long. So listen good. You wouldn't want to make a fellow like that angry at you, would you?
Melba Moore, the Lone Ranger, Kermit Balloon, and Linda Ronstadt, all part of our Thanksgiving Day entertainment still to come.
Now, there's a shot from 47th Street. There's one of my favorites, Underdog. Yet the bravest and mightiest of the dogs at all. Fearless and dauntless. Wonderful Underdog. Coming up soon is Lacey J Dolphin. She was named by the Academy of Country Music as the best new female artist of 1979. Now, if there are any cowboys out there in our audience, listen up. Pay special attention. The song she's about to sing is talking about you. Aren't there any cowboys left in the USA?
Wearing leather chaps and Levi's, despite the Texas heat. get in my way. Well, then he walked up to the paddock and he grabbed the big red mare and he rolled off in the sunset. But you know it just ain't fair that there ain't no room for free men or cowboys in our land. You can fence up all the good green earth, but you're never gonna change the man. Are there any cowboys left in the good old USA? I'm tired of drugstore outlaws from Dallas to LA. I'm tired of make-believing they're all the things they say. Are there really any cowboys left in the good old USA? Are there really any cowboys left in the good old USA?
And now the Critters, who are well known for their performances for the hearing impaired, have been asked by Lacey J Dolphin to take center stage and express the words of her song in an imaginative blending of mime and sign language.
I'm tired of drugstore outlaws from Dallas to LA. I'm tired of make-believing they're all the things they say. Are there really any cowboys left in the good old USA? Are there really any cowboys left in the good old USA?
Lacey and Critter, thank you. And now coming in front of our cameras is a young man you'll be seeing a lot of on NBC. He's just been signed for a major role in Little House on the Prairie, the part of Alonzo Wilder. He's Dean Butler, who seems to be in the middle of a race, riding his tortoise against a variety of forest animals, including the hare. Of course, we know the winner, the turtle. Right now, here's the winner as Dean sings, "Don't Fence Me In."
Give me land, lots of land, under starry skies above. Don't fence me in. Let me ride through the wide open country that I love. Don't fence me in. Let me be by myself in the evening breeze. Listen to the murmur of the cottonwood trees. Send me off forever, but I ask you please, don't fence me in. Just turn me loose. Let me straddle my old saddle underneath the western sky. On my cayuse, let me wander over yonder till I see the mountains rise. I want to ride to the ridge where the west commences. Gaze at the moon till I lose my senses. I can't look at hovels and I can't stand fences. Don't fence me in. Just turn me loose. Let me straddle my old saddle underneath the western sky.
Now here's a favorite float from last year, the Enchanted Cranberry House, furnished by Ocean Spray Cranberries. Well, this year is celebrating its 50th golden anniversary. And riding around this delightful fantasy concoction is a young lady of 11 who's been living the real-life fantasies that most little girls can only dream of. She's Danielle Brisbois. She gave a memorable performance when she played the tiniest orphan in Broadway's Annie.
The sun will come out tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow there'll be sun. Just thinking about tomorrow clears away the cobwebs and sorrow till there's none. When I'm stuck with a day
The first all-children's theater, Franz Jolie, and the one and only Boomer are all coming to join in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Stay tuned.
Next on our lineup comes a group of extraordinary youngsters who were such a standout success in the parade last year, we just had to have them back. Here, under the direction of Meredith Stein, is the first all-children's theater in a number from their current music success, Grown Ups. Here's Pass It Along.
So ideal that it's almost unreal. I take all that I feel and I pass it along. All the friends that I meet, even folks in the street, start to feel just as neat, so they pass it along. 'Cause love keeps going strong, long as you pass it along. So it spreads through the state, everyone's feeling great, and they don't hesitate to just pass it on, pass it on, pass it along. Which makes us apply very soon would run dry, but it grows as it goes till there's more than before. 'Cause love keeps going strong, long as you pass it on, pass it on, pass it on, pass it along. So it goes round the world and it travels to Mars, then it heads for the stars as it passes along. It's a grand jamboree that's as wide as the sea, and it started with me. When I pass it along, so I feel that it's almost unreal. Why not take all you feel and you pass it on, pass it along. So I feel that it's almost unreal. Why not take all you feel and you pass it on, pass it along. So I feel that it's unreal. Why not take all you feel and you pass it on, pass it along. Love keeps going strong, long as we pass it
Oh, just great, young people. Right now, it's time to welcome the Huntington Beach High School Marching Band, tall flags and drill team, under the direction of Mr. Galen Vogel. This fine musical organization is no stranger to our NBC cameras. They performed in our coverage of the 1980 Tournament of Roses Parade. They are dressed today in the uniforms of orange, black, and white. They've traveled here all the way from Huntington Beach, California, and you're going to enjoy them.
A Thanksgiving feast of entertainment, and the Lone Ranger rides again right after this.
He was a man no one knew, his face hidden by a mask. He rode the plains with his Indian companion, fighting for law and order in the days of the early West. We know who he is. Hi-yo, Silver, away! The Lone Ranger rides again. And there he is with Tonto, riding a great new float. inspired by a major motion picture soon to be released, titled The Legend of the Lone Ranger. Of course, the movie doesn't take place on Herald Square, but then you never know. How far is it really from the canyons of New York to Monument Valley? The Lone Ranger has saved the scene again. By the way, the actor playing Tonto in this recreation this morning is Michael Horse, who actually plays the role in the film. This float and the film clip were both furnished by Associated Film Distribution.
Sesame Street, Stephanie Mills, and Santa Claus are coming your way after this message.
This next band was selected last year by the National Band Association as one of the 10 best marching bands in the country. They were also named the 1977 Grand National Champions by the Marching Bands of America. All right, you're still not impressed? Then just watch and listen as the Murray High School Tiger Band proves their excellence beyond a doubt. Here from Murray, Kentucky, they perform under the direction of Jim Wright.
We pause briefly for station identification. This is the
WNBC TV New York, Channel 4.
ghosts have something to be thankful for on Thanksgiving. Why, Casper here has his own half-hour special on NBC on December 5th. It's called Casper's First Christmas, and you'll see it right here at 8 p.m. on Eastern Standard Time. You know, the world's known some maybe famous addresses. 10 Downing Street, 23 Baker Street, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. But I think no one's better known or gets better last than a place called Sesame Street. And here riding aboard this inspired float furnished by the Children's Television Workshop are a whole bunch of the Sesame Street gang.
Keep Christmas with you all through the year. When Christmas is over, you can keep it near. Think of this Christmas Day, when Christmas is far away. Keep Christmas with you all through the year. When Christmas is over, save some Christmas cheer. These precious moments, hold them very dear, and keep Christmas with you all through the year. Christmas means the spirit of giving, peace and joy to you. The goodness of loving, the gladness of living, these are Christmas too. So keep Christmas with you all through the year. When Christmas is over, save some Christmas cheer. These precious moments, hold them very dear, and keep Christmas with you all through the year. Yes, keep Christmas with you all through the
By the way, you saw Bert and Ernie from Sesame Street live out for a ride. You saw them earlier on the Today Show. Now, there are all kinds of different celebrities who appear on television films, but only a handful of what could be called superstars. And interesting enough, almost none of them are green. Maybe that's because they're not frogs. So when you got a frog that's a superstar, you got something really special. And we got them for you right now, all 6 stories of them. Welcome Kermit, the most famous frog ever to leap in the limelight. Maybe because it was such a good color for him. Well, 1980 marks his 24th year in show business, making him the oldest Muppet character still on active duty. Hardly looks out of his teens this morning. Happy Thanksgiving, Kermit. What a marvelous balloon, furnished by Henson Associates.
Still to come, the Spinners, Melba Moore, the Rockettes, and the new Superman balloon, all here on NBC.
Here comes the young lady who was the original star of The Wiz on Broadway. Now, this morning, she's traded in her Cowardly line for the fearless Thanksgiving Parade model. Welcome one of the outstanding talents in music today, Stephanie Mills. you, Stephanie. And there's that ever-charming Southern belle, Henrietta Hippo. The next float in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade is furnished by Columbia Records. It reminds us of great entertainment, the colorful circus wagon. Only this morning it isn't the music of the calliope that's stirring our blood. It's a man with a trumpet, a musician whose whole entertainment tradition is him himself, Mr. Maynard Ferguson. Just listen to the sound. Maynard. If anybody asks you what the entire population of Snow Hill, North Carolina is probably doing right at this morning, well, I bet just about everyone is watching NBC, and with good reason. We're ready to introduce the Green Central High School Marching Band, one of the best. They've been collecting superior ratings all over the Southeast, and you're about to see why. Here they are, decked out in their brand new Spanish-style uniforms. Snow Hill's finest, they perform under the direction of Kenneth Ginn. Now, if you put the following 5 names together, what would you have? John Edwards, Henry Fambro, Billy Henderson, Purvis Jackson, and Bobby Smith. Well, you'd have at least 12 gold records and 5 Grammy nominations. For I've just called the roll call for the Spinners. And here they are.
I'm in
Thank you, Spinners. Today, they're taking a ride on the Lunar Moth, furnished by FM 99 WXLO. Cupid. And look who's just arrived, flapping her wings and having a fine old time of it. There she is, Mother Goose, who started making poetry fun for children more than 250 years ago. Children today are still reading her rhymes with pleasure. Nice going, Mother G.
Coming up after this message, Linda Ronstadt, Rex Smith, and George Rose all in the Pirates of Penzance, and he's on his way. Santa Claus is coming.
And look what just sailed in. For the life of a pirate, or even maybe a modern major general. Well, all these characters and more have come alive in a smash hit production of Pirates of Penzance, produced by Joseph Papp in Central Park this summer, and now it's coming to Broadway in time for Christmas.
Does not feel the moral beauty of making worldly interest subordinate to sense of duty, who would not give up willingly all matrimonial ambition to from his unfortunate position, from his position, to rescue such a one as I, from his unfortunate position.
Danger may befall. Her father is a major general.
Yes, yes, he is a major general.
Yes, yes, I am a major general. I am the very model of a modern major general. I've information, vegetable, animal, and mineral. I know the kings of England, and I quote the fights historical from Marathon to Waterloo in order categorical. I'm very well acquainted too with matters mathematical. I understand equations both the simple and quadratical. About binomials theorem, I'm teeming with a lot of news. Lot of news? Got it. With many trivial facts about the square of the hypotenuse.
With many trivial facts about the square of the hypotenuse. With many trivial facts about the square of the hypotenuse. With many trivial facts about the square of the hypotenuse.
I'm very good at integral and differential calculus. I know the scientific names of beings and animalculous. In short, in matters vegetable, animal, and mineral, I am the very model of a modern nature general.
In short, in matters vegetable, animal, and mineral, he is the very model of a modern nature general.
A Taste of Things to Come, featuring Rex Smith, Linda Ronstadt, and George Rose. Now, if you happen to suddenly come into a room and find your pet dog wearing a strange red and blue costume, or standing on a chair stretching his front paws out in an unusual way, there's really nothing to be concerned about. Your pet is just trying to bring his fantasies to life, to become the one, the only underdog. And though many may be called, only one has been chosen. And he's here right now, that lovable protector of the weak, who in everyday life is disguised as humble shoeshine. But when the world calls out for a hero, it's Underdog to the rescue.